I don't have the one.
This one's not written on.
Maria
This is a copy.
does.
Let me check, see if she has a picture.
Maria has it.
Do you want me to just go ahead and introduce it?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Your Honor, we're before you today on State versus Jesus Gonzalez, file 24 CR 1269. And we're here today for a change of plea. It's anticipated by the state of Ohio the defendant will withdraw his previous under plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty to the indictment as charged. Other than a pre-sentence investigation report, no threats or promises were made to this defendant to induce this plea. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Watson?
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. It's my understanding of this morning's hearing. I've had a chance to fully pre-try this matter with the prosecutor. I believe full discovery has been provided. I've also had a chance to discuss this matter with my client. He is prepared this morning to enter a change of plea. He understands that by doing so, he'll be waiving certain constitutional rights and no threats or promises have been made in order for him to do so, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, how old are you?
66,
How far did you go through school?
12th grade.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, sir.
Prior to coming to court, have you taken any drugs or alcohol or any prescription medication in the last 48 hours?
No, sir.
All right, it's my understanding you're going to plead guilty to the indictment, which is aggravated possession of drugs and felony of the 5th degree. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
All right, before I accept your guilty plea, I need to determine that you know and understand the constitutional rights you'll be waiving, the consequences of your guilty plea, and the maximum penalty I could give you, and I need to be satisfied that your guilty plea is being made freely, knowingly, and voluntarily. I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't understand a question or you want to talk to Mr. Watson some more, let me know and I'll give you more time. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You have a constitutional right to have a trial, either to me or to a jury of 12 Lake County citizens. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
If you go to a jury trial, all 12 members must agree to a guilty verdict before you can be found guilty. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
If you go to trial, the prosecutor will call witnesses to testify against you. Do you understand the prosecutor must prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt at a trial?
Yes.
After the witnesses are done testifying for the prosecutor, you have the constitutional right to have your lawyer cross-examine the witnesses. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
If you go to trial, you have the right to have witnesses come here and testify for you. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
If those witnesses refuse to come to court, I'll issue an order called a subpoena to make them come and testify. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to testify at trial if you want to. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
You have the constitutional right to not testify at trial if you do not want to. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
If you decide not to testify at trial, nobody is permitted to comment on that decision. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
If you go to trial and you're found guilty, you have the right to appeal the guilty finding. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
If you file an appeal, you have the constitutional right to have a lawyer represent you in the appeal. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
If you could not afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed at no cost to you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
If you file an appeal, you're entitled to have a transcript of all the hearings in this case. Do you understand that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, sir.
If you could not afford a copy of the transcripts, they'd be given to you at no cost. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
If you plead guilty today, you will not have the right to appeal the guilty finding. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about any of your rights?
No, sir.
Do you still want to plead guilty to this charge?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand by pleading guilty, you're fully admitting your guilt to the charge?
Yes, sir.
You understand by pleading guilty to this felony that you're voluntarily giving up your freedom for whatever period of time I could sentence you to prison, to jail, or to community control.
Yes, sir.
Aggravated possession of drugs is a felony 5. It carries a maximum prison sentence of 12 months and a maximum fine of $2,500. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that your felony conviction will prevent you from owning or possessing a firearm?
Yes, sir.
You understand that your guilty plea may result in a driver's license suspension of between 6 months and 5 years?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if a prison term is imposed in this case, you might have to serve a period of post-release control for up to 2 years under the parole authority.
Yes, sir.
If you are placed on post-release control and violate any conditions, the parole authority could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
If the violation is a new felony, then you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for that violation. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And if that were to occur, the maximum prison sentence for that violation would be the greater of 12 months or the time left under post-release control. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand if a prison term is imposed, you are eligible for judicial release?
Yes.
I could place you on community control for up to 5 years, but if you violate any conditions, I could send you to prison for 12 months. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Has anybody promised you that I would be lenient on you just because you're pleading guilty today?
No.
Has anybody promised you what I will sentence you to in this case?
No.
Do you understand I do not have to follow the sentencing recommendation of either the prosecutor or your lawyer?
I understand.
Have you had enough time to talk to Mr. Watson before pleading guilty today?
Yes.
Has he discussed everything about your case and answered all of your questions?
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with the advice he has given you?
I believe it's the best.
Have you been threatened or coerced in any way to plead guilty today?
No, sir.
Are you freely, knowingly, and voluntarily entering your guilty plea?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, Mr. Geigerich, if the case went to trial, what would the evidence show?
Your Honor, the evidence would show that on 10/12 of 2024, the defendant was operating a motor vehicle on Brewman Road in Leroy Township, Lake County, Ohio. He's subject to a traffic stop. He was driving the vehicle, was found to be driving under suspension. The front seat passenger, Nicole White, was the registered owner, but she had a temporary license. K-9 was deployed to do an open-air snip and alerted to the vehicle. A search of the vehicle yielded a tied-off grocery bag in a black bag that Nicole White was holding, and a black zipper container with suspected methamphetamine, a blue glass pipe with residue, and a small bag of marijuana. The defendant admitted that claimed that the items were his, but he was having Nicole hold them. They're sent to Lake County Crime Lab where it tests positive for methamphetamine, an amount of 2.02 grams, Schedule 2. I mention those items because there's some, they'll be forfeited. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Watson, anything to add to those facts?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Gonzalez, did you hear what Mr. Geigerich said that the facts would show if the case went to a trial?
Say that again?
Did you hear what he said the facts would show if this case went to trial?
Oh, yeah.
And are those facts true?
Yeah.
What's your plea to aggravated possession of drugs, a felony 5?
I'm guilty.
All right, Mr. Watson?
This is what I went over with you, okay? I need you to sign right there. Put 129.25. Thank you.
May I approach?
All right, Mr. Gonzalez, is this your signature on this written plea of guilty?
Yes, sir.
Did you sign it voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to accept your written plea of guilty?
Yes.
Accept the written plea of guilty. Defendant was present. Mr. Watson advised of all of his rights. Made a knowing, intelligent, voluntary waiver. He understands the nature of the charge, the consequence of his guilty plea, and the maximum penalty. Find it to be knowing, intelligent, and voluntary. Will accept his plea of guilty and find him guilty of aggravated possession of drugs, a felony 5. I'm going to refer this for a pre-sentence report. And And a drug and alcohol evaluation set, so it'll be March 6 at 9 a.m. and the bond is continued. Anything else, Mr. Geigerich?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Watson?
One moment, Your Honor. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, we're adjourned.